Oh my goodness, it is a Woosah Wednesday edition of On Cue. Rich Quiñones here. And oh, by the way, welcome to the world of Angel Reese, who not only balled out last night, who was making some bunnies and she was rebounding and had one of her best games of the season. She also strengthened the MVP case for one Caitlin Clark. And that's where we begin a Wednesday edition of On Cue. Get in early, often, comment. Let's have a little fun. Let's engage. Let's hit that subscribe button. And I absolutely know, on a hot Wednesday up and down the East Coast and down south and in the Midwest and out west and all over the place, I know that trolls are going to scatter around. They're going to scatter about on this Wednesday. And I get it. You guys might come out in full force. But last night, as crazy as this sounds, the rivals helped each other out. The ones that can't stand each other helped each other out. Why? Because one player played a pretty damn game of basketball and also knocked off arguably everyone's MVP, who still had a monster game in Wilson, which we'll get into. But prior to that, earlier in the night, oh, by the way, Caitlin Clark, Indiana, handling business on the road against Toronto. Mitchell went off early, didn't play the fourth quarter, had some solid numbers, absolutely no doubt. And Indiana scores another 100, 101-95 over Toronto. Clark, 24, 7 of 15, 4 of 9 from beyond the arc, 6 of 7 from the line, 3 rebounds, 7 assists. Some of the turnovers in the third, just lazy basketball and a couple lapses, but we'll get into that. But it was the second game that caught my attention. Atlanta defeats Vegas, and everyone wants to write Wilson in as an MVP. Well, I got news for you. They lost again. They lost again to a team that is not better than they are. And I'm going to give Angel Reese a substantial amount of credit, even though there was one series where she got blocked, I think, 4 times. I'm going to give her credit. The kid plays hard. We control her all we want. She plays hard. She plays hard, and I think yesterday I said maybe 10 and 16. She had 21 and 10. 21 and 10, but Atlanta got the win. And Gray stepped up, and Howard was ridiculous. And listen, Wilson had a monster game, no doubt. But if you are going by the premise, if everyone pushes back when we start to talk the MVP and make this argument about being on the best team and winning consistently, then I got news for you. That was a bad loss for the Aces last night. That was a bad loss for them. And Indiana just keeps trugging along in spite of their head coach, in spite of some of the nonsense, in spite this absolutely ludicrous hub that they're trying to build around AB, in spite of the fact that you throw out bench players on the floor. I mean, that we'll get into. But right now, this team, they're playing the best basketball in the W. If you want to throw Golden State, fine. Both teams respectively 8-2. And the Aces have now lost 2 straight. And they're 5-5 over their last 10. And their head coach got ejected last night. So they've got some issues right now. And Indiana jumped them. So everyone's argument that, well, if you're playing on the best team, okay, well, I'm not going to take Wilson out of the MVP conversation. I'm just going to strengthen my case for Clark. And Angel Reese helped out last night because her effort helped in that win. Go figure. How ironic is that? So right now, Minnesota, Golden State, Indiana, the Aces, Atlanta, the Liberty, those are your top 6 as it stands. And Wilson was phenomenal last night. But if everyone keeps pushing at me, pushing back at me, that you have to play like a winning team, right? You have to be on a winning team and all this other stuff. And everyone's breaking down the stats and everyone's breaking down the numbers. Well, then I got news for you. All last night did, even with Mitchell not on the floor in the fourth quarter because it was hot, humid, and she was cramping up and she couldn't go. Even though Caitlin Clark didn't go off in the fourth quarter, you know what she did? when they needed a play, when they needed a bucket late, what did she do? She drew a triple team and she kicked it out to Cunningham, who knocks down the three. And then conversely, now fast forward, late last night, where was your MVP? Where was your MVP who put up a gaudy stat line? But where was your MVP late last night? So everyone sits there and says, well, you gotta, it's a long season in any sport. It's a long season in the WNBA. It's a long season in the NBA, and MLB, and NFL. It's what do you do late? And I've been making that argument. And I'm telling you guys, as much as people don't want to hear it, and we know at the end of the day, we know the media is skewed. We know the media is biased. We know the media is going to hand it over to Wilson. We totally understand all that. I think we've banged that drum. But I'm telling you, man, if you look within the game and you're really focusing, and again, you're really watching, aside from these miscues in the third quarter, her numbers are absolutely off the chart. She's averaging 26 points, 9 assists over her last 12. Now, you saw last night, you would have loved to have Mitchell on the floor to help her out a little bit, bail her out. But again, she's taking contact. She's hitting shots from all over the place. She's still shooting about 50% from the field, 40% from beyond the arc. And here's the biggest stat that I'm going to sell you guys on today. Here's the biggest stat over that 12-game stretch. This friggin' team is 10-2. So for everyone that was kind of poo-pooing my argument about the stretch run and nothing's written in stone just yet, where are you today? Seriously. Where are you today? Because you have to acknowledge, if you're going to be this late bloomer and you're going to finish the season strong, I got news for you. She's doing it. And it does make a compelling case, and it makes a compelling argument. That's all I've been trying to say. That's all I've been trying to convey. That's really it. We already know the impact. They were giving her flowers last night. And this is the hottest team right now in the league, and it's the hottest offense. And these other two teams that I mentioned, their offensive output has gone down drastically. It has gone down drastically. So again, we can sit there and we can talk about Wilson being dominant, right? We can talk all about that. Listen, she gets the call, she gets the whistle. Close to 200 points have come from the charity stripe, which is about 25%, right? So if you break it down, we're talking about players that are benefiting from the line. That's what we're talking about. And again, it's not a knock. You get fouled because you're aggressive, and that's your physical style play. Those are factual. But I got to listen every day or every other day when we're talking basketball or we're focused on this league and we're talking about the MVP conversation, where everyone wants to spend all day dissecting Caitlin Clark's scoring, her shot selection, where she's shooting, a bad turnover, a lapse, not getting to the line, her free throw efficiency, her scoring. And all of a sudden, you guys want to pick and choose your factors. And I'm telling you guys this right now. I'm sharing, I'm telling you, and I'm being adamant about this. Don't think it is a foregone conclusion that Wilson is running away with the MVP, because there's got to be basketball purists. There's got to be some credible, I'm hoping, reporters out there, journalists out there, astute, knowledgeable basketball heads out there that have a vote, that really understand the game and they understand value. They understand what that V stands for, value, and what she's bringing to the table. And I'm going to back it up with some numbers. I'm telling you that right now. Because the numbers don't lie. They just don't. They don't lie. And I feel I feel bad, because if the media did it the right way in the beginning of the season, then maybe it's a different conversation. CC Empress, clearly MVP. Wilson, great. Clark had a very good game. Yeah, but I'm also talking about late. And we know that Clark had the third quarter, a couple lapses, turnovers, the violation in the backcourt, wasn't really paying attention, maybe a little wet surface slipped, whatever. You had no Mitchell. They took the ball out of her hands. But when they needed to make a play, DB, when she needed to make a play, she penetrated, drew a triple team, and kicked it out to Cunningham, who had a really nice game off the bench. Ant chimes in. Wilson didn't look like the MVP and no-show in the last minutes of the game. Listen, Those are fair points. We are allowed to have those conversations, because if we are going to dissect every single other player, then you have to start to dissect Wilson. You have to. Dominant, yes, but you're talking efficiency. You're also talking about where she's trying to finish. We know she's a rim protector. We know about, again, the rebounding. But I also saw a couple plays where she missed bunnies. I saw a couple plays where she didn't get back on defense. I saw a couple plays where she was almost barking at the official to try to get a friggin' whistle. And this team's struggling. Now, am I going to sit there and say, you lose the head coach, you got to fight through it? Hell, man. It's professional sports. Let's go. But they're 5-5 in their last 10. And their plus-minus differential, 2.9. And Indiana sitting at 5.9 with a 5-game winning streak. Oh, by the way, 8-2 of their last 10. 10-2 of their last 12. And they also had the best offense in the game. Aces are averaging 90 points a game, which is third in the league if we're talking about this 12-game stretch. Minnesota averaging 92, right? Again, during the stretch. And then you have Indiana, that's well over 100. These are things you need to take in consideration. You do. You can't gloss over it. You just can't. And you might be right. You might have to take it. Correct. You might be right. You might be right, Paul. You might have to take it. You have to earn it and fight for it. And that's what she's doing. That's exactly what she's doing. And last night, I'm telling you, Angel Reese helped her out big time. She did. Angel Reese had a dominating performance. She did. She really had a dominating performance last night. You got to give that kid some credit. It's easy to sit there and troll. And that was a big win for Atlanta. You go on the road and you hold that team to 82 points. Reese had 21. Gray had 21. Howard had 23. They didn't get nothing from the bench. And they did an excellent job getting to the line, 25-27. And then you look at the aces. Look, Wilson, you look at her percentage, 7-18. She's always going to get the call. She was a machine rebounding. But she also had 5 turnovers. She had 4 blocks. 3 of them came on one series against Reese. But she was a -13 on the floor. -13. That's not MVP play. -13 on the floor. Not MVP play. Now, Clark last night -2 because of the turnovers. But she still quietly had 24 and 7. Again, missed bunnies. Easily could have had a double-double. Made the plays late when she had to. All this hub crap. Again, Stephanie White calling timeouts with an opportunity for transitional buckets. No KM on the floor. Mitchell, 29. Mitchell she's an ISO player. She's a wonderful, brilliant friggin' finisher. She's not in the MVP conversation anymore. Not happening. Nope. Right now, it's 3. And I would actually bump Miles, and later on in the week, I'll make a case for all 3 to 4. But I'm telling you, for today's purposes, for content purposes, for show purposes, right now, I think it's a 2-team race. I think there's 2 horses in this race right now. One of them's Wilson, who's won it 4 times, and is definitely going to be Defensive Player of the Year. She'll probably win the MVP again because that's what the voters and the media want. And then Caitlin Clark. And I stand on that. I stand on that. It is a run of runs. That's all I'm saying. It is a run of runs that we're watching, and we need to start acknowledging it. Everyone is already seeing what a lot of us have been saying. And now it's making things interesting. She's producing 50-plus points a game. You're talking about scoring or assisting on 50 points per game in this month. That's just on another level. When you're talking about creating, facilitating, yeah, it helps that you have Mitchell, no doubt. You know, Boston I still think of as an enigma. I'm going to get to this Hup nonsense in a second. But she's scoring, she's facilitating, and she's doing what true legit point guards do. Control the tempo of the game, create spacing on the floor. And she is, if you're talking this team averaging 100 or 102, and she's contributing combined 50 plus in this run in this month, she's accounting for 50% of their offense. So you can slice it and dice it any way you want on a Wednesday. You cannot leave her out of the MVP conversation. And I'm telling you, if she continues this little run, her numbers during the All-Star break, folks, wake up. 24-7, 26-9, 29-10, 22-10, 26-11, 20-8, 19-10, 26-10-10, triple-double, 32-7. What are we doing? Look at his shooting splits. 24-9, 48%, 38%, 83% from the line. Come on. You can hate, you can troll, you can say anything you want. But the numbers at this moment, they don't lie. They don't lie. You can come hard all you want on a Wednesday. You're not going to win the argument today. If she continues down this, she's got an opportunity to friggin' not only steal it, rip it away from Wilson if media, if the panel, if the voting public got their head out of their culo. CC to shoot easily 40 from 3. This is the reason she's famous for shooting. Yeah, but so what? She's going to chuck some contested shots. I'll take 34, which is a league average. How about last night? She's getting flowers. She's getting flowers last night. Kids were wanting her to sign the jerseys. I mean, she was getting a lot of love. That was a fun game last night. And I'll say this, too. You know, Toronto, they got some fight in them. They have a little fight in them. They really do. I mean, you've got to be a pain in the ass to get under Mitchell's skin. And how about some of the shots and the threes Mabry was making? My goodness, are you kidding me? Banking it late after hours last night. And they find a way, Indiana, on the road to pull away. And you beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. We understand that. But again, the bench. And I told you guys, this could be the potential X factor. You got 13 from Cunningham, right? And then you got another 7. I think Harris has been quiet since her outburst a couple days ago. She only had 2 or 3. But that's not bad production when you can get 17, 20 points coming from the bench. Now, I'll get into some of the lineups and some of the moves that White was making, but I don't know how much more I can break down these numbers where people really don't start understanding. This is a serious MVP conversation. It is. It really is. And now, I believe if you're talking about, if you go back in the beginning of the season, and if you want to sit there and say that's a minus towards her, I also believe she was injured, the minutes restrictions, she was only playing 23, 24. When she plays over 29, those averages get bumped. She missed a couple games. These are not excuses. Availability, accessibility, we talk about it. But you can't ignore the pace. And it's a fair point. Body of work. Body of work. She is making it interesting. I don't care what the books say. I don't care what the betting public says. I don't care what the odds are right now. She's jumped. I mean, Buckets is faded. You notice Paige is faded ever since the $400 bet? Stewart's faded a month plus ago. You know, Mitchell, the fever can push her, but she's a one-dimensional player. And then Miles is a rookie, outstanding season, but as you know, they're going to gloss over it because she's a freaking rookie. It's just not her time. So it's down to 2. It's down to 2. The one that everyone says was the MVP prior to opening tip-off of the friggin' season, and the other one that's sitting there breaking records left and right. Historic numbers. Historic. So the goalpost people that want to keep pushing back the goalpost, you guys are remarkable. You know why? Because you sit there and say, well, stats don't mean anything. Well, how do you lie with the stats? How do you inflate or twist them? And like I said, the best thing last night, if you're a Fever fan, Angel Reese to have that effort in Atlanta to beat the Aces, where you have Wilson, who put up gaudy numbers, but faded late. And that's not what MVPs do. That's not what they do. MVP race, CC, KM, Wilson, Miles. It's Wilson and Clark. It's Wilson and Clark. It's just my opinion. And good morning, Pam. Good morning, good morning, good morning. The numbers are, when I say the numbers are just, they're at another level. They're just at another level. I really just don't get it. And then, you know, the annoying thing is this whole pub crap, right? I mean, I don't need this hub. I don't need this hub nonsense. I can't. Where are the goofballs that were killing me talking about this coach? You're talking about AB the hub. So Caitlin Clark can dribble up the court, pass to Boston at the hub up top, and then she's got to fight through 2 or 3 friggin' defenders to get the ball back, and the shot clock's winding down. Like, what the hell's the point of that? And oh, by the way, you had my girl, Tippy Tay. You had Johnson on the floor, and you had MHA on the floor with Clark. That's 3 on the court who aren't spacers. So you're going to tell me this is a coach that has 30, 40 years of coaching experience with her head up, or you know what? Like, Clark is such a great player. She's actually, making these players actually look decent. I don't know what this coach is doing. I don't. And here's the other thing. You got to maintain the lead. You're out there with 4 minutes. You're calling a timeout. What? So you can get Mitchell back on the floor? I'd rather see Russell out there with Clark at some point. Good addition. Give him some burn together. Give him some runs. I mean, it's so clear that the head coach wants to push for Mitchell to win the MVP. And she has her moments. She goes on these runs, yeah, but she also sometimes is a selfish player. And last night, early on, you saw the backdoor, you saw the cuts. Who was facilitating? Who was breaking down defenses? Who had the court vision and the basketball IQ to get her to basketball? That's your orchestrator of the point. Ripping off quick pick numbers. You got to what? No, we don't do that. What are the chances you're hitting on that? Come on. Maybe Pam has the comment of the day. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Whew. On a Woosah Wednesday, Pam bringing it. She's going that route? Why are you saying men lie? Not all men lie, Pam. Sometimes men just don't always tell you what you want to hear. Sometimes men don't always tell you the full story. It's not a lie. And remember, Pam, it's not a lie unless you believe it. Fever ranked number 1 offense. Best backcourt duo. Best trio leading the league in assists. Responsible for 52% of the offense, etc., etc., etc. That defines MVP. No other team or player is doing what the Fever are doing. Yeah, Ant. Your numbers are fair. Is betting destroying the game? In this sport, I don't think so. In sports in general, I think it's how we view the games. I think no matter what, when you add the betting element and the sports gambling element and you already have a problem with the officiating, your perception or how you view or how you absorb the game, the content, TV, it's skewed. It is. It's skewed. It really is. So I get what you're saying. When you look at the refereeing and you look at the officiating, you're like, they got to have money on these games. Like people were joking Reese with all these misses, and then you talk about her over-unders and her reboundings, and then you had the issue with the fan and Gray not hitting the number. You had buckets, and you had Reese betting $400. I think refereeing across the board in a majority of sports is just so inconsistent. In this league, we know the officiating is piss poor. We know that, look, Mitchell is such a great finisher. I haven't seen a player over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years get to the line and have opportunities for N1s like Mitchell. If you look at some of the officiating and some of the missed calls that Caitlin Clark has, pardon me, when she drives in the lane, she should easily be getting to the line another 4 to 6 times per contest, which would bump up her averages. So, like I said, I look at it and, it's skewed. You bring up a good point. Cat Lady, good morning. CM was drafted in a stacked team who nearly won a championship last couple of years with the best coach in the league. You can't fault, and pardon me, Miles, yes. You can't fault where you're drafted. That's not your fault. She's a phenomenal player. Don't get me wrong. But we know the league frowns upon rookies. I mean, you got to go back, right, to the heyday. You have to. What did I say yesterday? I didn't like the number. I didn't like the hook. What did I say? I literally said, take the points. It's exactly what I said. They covered the number. It was too much. It was too big of a number. And remember, once Mitchell doesn't play in the fourth quarter, then all bets are kind of out, right? Rotate. Questionable at best, Michael. They were horrible. You know that, brother. You watch these games. They were brutal last night. I have no idea what the hell she's doing. You know, the other thing that annoys me is that when you got a player that's cooking, let them cook. Like every time, it's like a friggin' tease, man. It is. It really is. You're sitting there, you're wasting your time, you're talking to the friggin' blonde at the bar, and then all of a sudden the gorgeous brunette walks in, right? And you're trying to think of a way to get out of it with the blonde, right? So you kind of skirt the issue, sit there and you make eye contact with the brunette. She's locking in. You're trying to get away from the conversation. You go to the men's room, as Joey likes to say, he probably had those little pockets of Jacquard. You spray it on yourself. You walk out. The brunette's still eyeing you up. It's like a little game. It's like a little tease, right? Here we go. Right? The eyes are locked. The blonde looks at you. What do you know what? Walks out. And then it's just you and the brunette locked in. End of the bar. A little spritz of the Jacquard, whatever Joey is doing back in the day, driving around the Oldsmobile. Spritz, spritz, spritz. And then you're about to walk over, and what happens? The handsome boyfriend walks in. It's a tease. You get hyped up. You get heated up. Here we go. It's the same thing with Caitlin Clark. Every time we start to get a little heated up, right? We got a little passion in the eyes. The hype, right? Here we go. A little juice. What do? They go back to like 20 years ago, half court. Half court. You play her off the ball. You freeze her out. I don't get it. Then you stick her hiney on the bench. And then you can't close out quarters. This is ridiculous. When she's on a heater, let her go on a heater. Let her spritz the Jacquard. Let's go. Don't dial it back. This is what the coach does. And then she looks miserable. Then she plays miserable. Then she has these head up or you-know-what turnovers. That's all on the coach. That is all on the coach. It's always on the coach when she does that nonsense. It's utterly ridiculous. Mayberry's a pain in the ass. But I'll tell you what, I would want that kid on my team. I would want she's a gnat. She's annoying and she's got guts. She's fearless. Cece in her rookie year broke 62 records and led her team to the playoffs for the first time since 2016. She's breaking records now, left and right. Miles is in the conversation because she carried that team while Collier was down. She carried that team while Collier was down, and she puts up phenomenal numbers. Now, I'll say it again for those in the cheap seats. No one's guarded in the league like like Caitlin Clark. Check that. No one in the league is guarded like Caitlin Clark. No one guards Miles. They just don't. You watch the last possession, Caitlin Clark drew triple team. They knew once they slid over a weak side help, she was going to kick it to Cunningham. That's what she did. It's exactly what she did. She's that phenomenal. You were starting a WNBA franchise. Who would you hire as a head coach? Denver looking at a WNBA team. It appears from news reports out here in Denver. I don't know. I honestly, I can't answer that. I mean, I know who I would build upon. I would build in and out. Like if Clark's available, I'm drafting her. I'm building around her. But if she's not, I go center in and out. But if Clark's there and you say, hey, you can have your pick of the litter player-wise, then yeah. But coach, I mean, listen, there's so many great coaches that no one's even heard of yet. There's coaches in high school. There's coaches in JUCO. There's coaches in overseas that do a phenomenal job. They do a phenomenal job. I think it's all about philosophy. That's my problem. I think it's all about philosophy, and I don't think some of these philosophies jive. See more of an impact on and off court. You saw last night. I mean, Holly Rowe with the friggin' crocodile tears talking about, it's a sellout because of friggin' Caitlin Clark, Holly Rowe. Take those crocodile tears somewhere else. Betty, appreciate you. Co-MVPs, I mean, they're going to pull votes from each other, but you can't leave Wilson off that. If there's going to be co-MVPs, it would have to be Wilson and it'd have to be Clark. And it doesn't matter because there would still be some type of divisiveness. There would be some type of argument or a debate, right? Hard to give Kay the MVP. She shoots and shoots well. She's a one-dimensional player who does one great thing, but what she does is phenomenal. She's a this kid can play with the men. She's a fantastic finisher around the basket. I mean, some of her shots are like circus shots that you're making at the Y. Wilson always crowned before the season. That's what I'm saying. That's my whole point. And last night, you get my girl Angel Reese, the villain, the shit stirrer, right? The villain, the martyr, who sits there and drops the double-double, and they win on the road, and all it did is strengthen Caitlin Clark's case, because now this team continues to play hot. She's putting up gaudy numbers, and oh, by the way, they just beat Atlanta. CC might just win the MVP and championship this year. I can't believe it. That would be something. Look, she's all about championships. We're all about championships. That's what you want. You are judged at the end of the day by wins and losses. Stephanie hates CC in her guts. I tend to believe she does not respect and she does not like her. I tend to believe that. There's no other rhythm or rhyme. There's no other explanation when you start talking about how this coach coaches. I just don't get it. It makes no sense. You don't need to have a clipboard and do this for 20, 30 years. It's common. When a player's cooking, let him cook. You have to have some type of decorum. You have to understand when you're going to pull a player, when you're going to bench them, when you're not. And I watched what I saw last night and over the last month or so. I mean, they're winning these games because of, right? Talking about MVP in the WNBA is a waste of your speaking skills. It's a popularity award based on reputation. It has nothing to do with the player that lifted their team the most. I don't know if I should take that as a compliment or not, but I guess I will. It's a fun discussion. It's a fun debate. Now, your point is valid in that it is a popularity contest, but can't that be broken? Can't there be such pushback that you change course, you change direction? Honestly, can't there be pushback where you just absolutely change direction? That's all I'm saying. Is that it's not a lie unless you believe it is? Is that why you're laughing? Because of that comment? That was 10 minutes ago. Jay Hoover, for me, Olivia is now my favorite to win MVP. Arjun and Kelsey, anything beyond that is useless banter. And there you go. There's your typical troll of the day. Doesn't even recognize the run that number 22 is on. Welcome back. Welcome back to the conversation. Fever are fortunate. All the good teams get to eliminate each other in the West. Come on, man. Again, there it is. There it is. You took the 4.5. Well done. Well done. It's amazing how people can sit there and put Mitchell in the conversation, but just totally ignore Caitlin Clark. Oh, my goodness. I knew you guys were going to come out eventually. I figured you would. Why not? Why not? Yeah, you know what? That's fine. Again, you want me to just go through the numbers? We can start ripping them off. Once again, hard to ignore. Nobody wants to talk about it. She's accounting for 50% of 101 points over the last 12 games. And Minnesota's averaging 95. Aces are averaging 89 over their last 12. Indiana's been the best team that stretch, and it's the catalyst and the run, okay? She's winning awards left and right. So they beat New York, they beat Dallas, they beat Atlanta, okay? They're 23-12. They're number 4 right in the standings. She's averaged 25, 51% shooting, 3.3 friggin' rebounds, and close to 10 assists in those 3 games, which, oh, by the way, earned her Eastern Conference Player of the Week. She has 4 Player of the Week awards in 2026, which apparently is the most in the WNBA so far. Man, I'll tell you, you guys, again, it just goes back. It's a Woosah Wednesday. I don't want to get heated on a Woosah Wednesday. It's when I'm supposed to find myself. I'm supposed to be at peace. It's supposed to be calm. Kiki's taking a little late morning nap. I got the fresh roasted coffee. You guys are killing me. If you're creating almost 50 friggin' points per game, 313, 110 assists, 41 rebounds is Clark. 319, 40 assists, 114 rebounds is Wilson. 250 points, 83 assists, 54 rebounds is Miles. And I'm done with Paige. See you later. It's not even close in terms of the last 12 games. She's on a heater, a run of runs. A run of runs. Forget about the triple-double. Forget about the 45 and 10. A run of runs. And you guys want to stick Mitchell. Why? Because they want to force feed her the basketball so she can get her friggin' 20 and keep the streak going, which is so obvious. She's a great player. She's not the MVP. Just stop. All Stephanie White cares about right now is basically Mitchell getting her 20-plus every game. You know it and I know it. Look at the way she's doing these lineups. Look when she's pulling players. Look when she's not pulling players. Look who she's trucked down on the floor with Caitlin Clark. Just stop. Stop. You guys want to deny. Wilson's going to win because the media said she was going to win before the season. But damn, how do you not have the conversation and put Cece right there at the friggin' table with her? And if they continue to lose and she disappears in the fourth quarter and Clark continues this friggin' heater, my goodness, can someone that has any knowledge of the game of basketball and credibility who covers this league stand up and make a case for her? It's like when we vote for the Hall of Fame and it gets contentious and you got a room of, the old school guys just screaming on the porch, get off my lawn. And then you get the young crop that comes in and they're arguing the compiler stat, the longevity stat. She needs a rabbi. Caitlin Clark needs rabbis in her corner. That's what she needs. She needs someone or others in the media. And I know Linda Cohen is a big proponent. I don't think Linda Cohen has a vote. But she needs rabbis. She needs people in her corner that'll keep pushing. Hell, the freaking organization is pushing for Mitchell to win the MVP. Again, and not Clark, which is ridiculous. It makes no sense. Which almost just proves my theory, okay? It proves my theory that, this agenda. The AC, it was scorching last night, they were saying. I mean, I don't know if that's the case because then the fans got to suffer, do they not? But Mitchell, she got gassed. And the other thing is you got to be very careful now with these games coming up. You have to. Miles, it's a body bag lock. Lock it in. Yeah, Jakar, you because you know it's true. You absolutely know it's friggin' true, and I'm calling you out. You probably did Jakar had the mini bottle. You know it. And I'll tell you something else, Joey. I can picture you with the Manaka. Was that what it was? The Manaka? Is that the little members only, right? 2024. Oh, hold on. Top Gun. Good morning. 2024 showed the corruption of the WNBA PR and media. Clark should have been on the Olympic team. That was a travesty. Yeah, oh man, I tell you, I would clean up this league, man. Somebody asked me the other day, how come you don't cover the games? Well, obviously, I would never get a press credential from the WNBA. That's number one. Because the first thing they do is they comb through your social media. I mean, hell, all they need to do is go to the channel and see the show. But I would, make a strong case and a strong push, right? That's all I'm saying. Wilson number 1 in points. CC number 3. Also assists 1 and 2 in assist points per game. Miles only complete in points. Look, she's a great rookie. Rookie of the year. Jersey Shore men's room. Yep. Cologne. $1 packets. 1988. Are you kidding? I mean, I was, what are we doing here? Not even having a cup of coffee down there. Yes, the spritz. That's exactly what it was. The spritz, right? Shiloh, I don't know what to tell you, man. And you know what? Hold on a second. You guys jump on when, see, this, you got to love this. You got to love this commenter right here. There's no disrespect. You come on when you can come on the air, man. We fire off at different times, right? Because we got so much going on. You guys work. Some of you guys are on your lunch break. I know Miss B wakes up from Vegas, has a little coffee in the morning and chimes in. So no worries at all. We're just happy that you joined the chat. That's all. We're just happy that you're on board, right? Fever top scorer, Mitchell, Fever MVP, CC League MVP, Wilson and Clark at this point, but you wouldn't know it what the media promotes. Billy B, yes. Mitchell, I mentioned this, dominant slasher scorer. Miles, flashy, sensational rookie. Wilson wins it, and I'm going to tell you why she will win it. Wilson wins it because she plays the center position. That's the dominant position. She's efficient around the rim. She's going to win Defensive Player of the Year as well. She's a Hall of Fame player. She's won it multiple times. I mean, she's blocking Reese. It reminded me of friggin' Charles Smith under the basket for the Knicks against the Bulls. I mean, Reese couldn't finish. Which, oh, by the way, I gave Reese her credit 40 minutes ago. Because Reese basically makes this a lot more of an interesting case because Atlanta beats the Aces last night. And my girl had the double-double. A little double dip. But to your point, you look at Clark. When I look at all-around talent, facilitator, what she's bringing to the table, the floor general, the scoring, the assists, the rebounding. Yeah, in the third quarter, she got sloppy last night. No one's going to... Yeah, 7 turnovers. She's got to get her head up, you know? They were bad turnovers. She wasn't paying attention with the violations. She didn't get the ball across the timeline. She knows better. But I also think it's a product of sometimes how they run their offense. And the fact you saw she was pissed off when White calls the timeout and they have an opportunity for transitional bucket. So, yes, again, what you're saying, Billy, there's a logic to it, right? Mitchell scores, okay? Clark could be the MVP of the team. Wilson the MVP of the league, no doubt. But I say the body of work and the heater she's on, and the more, if they are a little more judicious with Mitchell's numbers, minutes, I should say, and if Wilson and the Aces continue to struggle a little bit, then here's an opportunity to grab it. You can grab this award if you are Caitlin Clark. The problem is this. The problem is the media already played it out. The media played it out, and that's where I think it's horrible. Yeah, you play hub ball for most of the fourth quarter until the last. It makes no sense. And you knew Toronto was going to keep fighting. They're a scrappy team like Seattle. Her coaching, I don't know why people think this woman is a good coach. She's not. I look at a player, if you establish yourself as an MVP candidate, you have to play at a high level and your team is winning as well. And they're playing at a high level. She's playing at a high level. They're on a run while Wilson's putting them numbers, but they're 5-5 in their last 10. And oh, by the way, this team's 8-2. So the production, the success, it's got to put her in the conversation. It has to. And Mitchell is one-dimensional. She's a scorer. If there's an award for being best finisher in the league, hands down, it's KM. But we're talking about all-around talent. All-around talent and what she's doing. It's on another level. If you look at 85 career games, she's got more points than Wilson or Taurasi, who just got her number retired, Hall of Famer. More assists than anyone. More three-pointers made than anyone. Points created. Points per game created. Triple-doubles. Points, assists, doubles than anyone. And I got people that want to glaze over her and think she's friggin' playing at the local Y on a Saturday. Or the PAL. If her coach actually coached her up the right way, and if her teammates actually helped out once in a while early part of this season, I can tell you this right now. Her numbers are up. They're gaudy. They're better than what we're seeing. They're better than what we are seeing. Reese is the hero last night. She was phenomenal. 21-10. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not going to sit there and say Clark choked. You know why? Because when she needed to make a play, she split 3 defenders, got triple teamed, and found Cunningham in the corner, right? MVP voters say win share stat is one of the most important to predict MVP. Not if you already have it in your mind prior to the season, right? Not if you already... That's the issue I have. That's the issue I have. When you have these talking heads, Paul, they have a lot of clout. They have a lot of clout. That's why they're jokes. They're just unbelievable, man. You got to listen to their nonsense last night. I mean, McNutt is a goofball. Absolutely just unbelievable. Question for White and the rest of the Fever roster. Clark is number 1 in the league for assists. Why doesn't the team lead in assists? What's wrong with the pitcher? I mean, they can't. Half the time, they can't finish. They can't finish. Her teammates let her down. Do you know how many times I can count on my hand 4 to 5 to 6 times a game on a nightly basis. I text my buddy last night. I said, is it me or is this league no one can finish around the rim? Some of these are wide open looks. These are wide open baskets, wide open bunnies. And they're horrible. They can't finish. Need to talk about Lexi. White cannot continue to start come playoffs. I don't know how the Fever are winning games playing 4-5. White needs to play full roster more, especially. So say this about Lexi, though. As much as we killed her, she had the big defensive play, right? She got Mayberry to travel last night. Mabry. I don't know. I'm thinking of John Mayberry. Defensively, she held her ground. But they got another 17 off the bench. Another 17 off the bench. There you go, Billy. That's it. Bang. Bingo. You nailed it. It's all about who the voters are. That's all it is. It's all about, and as much as we like to sit there in a perfect world, you want to do kumbaya, everyone gets an award. It doesn't work like that. You're not, there's not going to be a co. There's not. It's going to be one player. And right now, the money's on Wilson. Forget about the odds. But Clark keeps making it interesting, and her rival helped her last night because Atlanta goes on the road and they beat this team. I mean, think about that. If you're talking about wins and losses, because all you guys were making this argument, how long ago? You guys were making the same friggin' argument how long ago? You guys were saying, well, you got to win, you got to win, you got to win. Okay, so they are. So they're winning right now. They can't control that they beat a 10-24 team, or at the time 10-23, but they're 11-6 on the road. They're 24-12, and they're playing their best basketball at the most critical time of the season, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, Mitchell can put up her 20 or 25 every single solitary night, but I'll take 25 and 10 and 4. And the only 2 losses, they lost on the road to Minnesota, because they decided to not even face guard or cover Miles, and she went off. And then they lost in a game that they could have won, should have won in overtime against the Aces, and we know that was Clark's miscues. But since then, 90 points, 106, 98, 95, 101. Prior to 112, 105, 123, 108, 110. So if a player's accounting for 45 to 50% of the offense, and every night it's a given double-double, and she is being too unselfish. That's another thing. She's being beyond too unselfish. Like, I'm done past. By the way, I'm over Boston. I'm over that kid, man. I don't care about double-doubles. I don't care about any of that crap. Boston, she's a dog. She is so lazy. She can't finish around the rim. She tries to force it up there. She does not want to pull the trigger anymore. Her confidence is shot to shit. I'm sorry. I'm not even. No. Good player, absolutely. But I'm just over her, where you got to build this offense in the friggin' hub, and let's just stand around. And then if you're Caitlin Clark, shot clock winding down, you got to get the ball back. No, I hate that. Stop. Go back to doing what you do best. Allow her to facilitate. Let her break down the defense. Boston is one of the most frustrating players I've ever come across over the last 10, 15 years, because the talent's there. You know the talent's there, but you have no idea what 24-year-old is showing up. I can't figure the kid out. Like last night on the surface, she had a pretty decent game. 27 minutes, 16 points, efficient from the field, refused to pull the trigger from beyond the arc, got a couple rebounds, couple assists, couple blocks, couple steals. She was plus 17. But then I'll see a game where she refuses to shoot the basketball, where she's hesitant, she's tentative. She's overthinking. That's the last thing you want to do in basketball is overthink. Just play. Just play. She won't do it. It boggles my mind, man, because when you're talented, that's one thing. But when you're talented and it's not coming together on the floor, that's frustrating. And that actually hamstrings a team. Because if you're building around someone, if you want them down on the low block, or you want them to command that spacing, the double team. You got to know what to do with the basketball. You have to. And it's just at times she doesn't know what to do. And I just don't know if it's desire, if it's want. I don't know. I don't think it's, I don't like calling when I say a player is a dog at times, it doesn't necessarily mean soft and it doesn't necessarily mean lazy. It's just sometimes like get your head out of your, you know what, like play harder and smart combined. And sometimes she doesn't get out of the way. She clogs up the lane. She's a little lax with her defense. We saw it when Gray hit those big threes. And then she gets back on defense that last shot, and she doesn't even convert. She doesn't even close in on Gray. You know, she's not going after loose balls. Cunningham is. So, again, I don't know. I'm a little indifferent when it comes to Boston. Is it a coaching thing? She's 24. But you should know at this point, if you played college at a high level, where the hell to be on the floor. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Tom, what's going on? Have you noticed how Cece's play has been at a higher level since she has been on double secret probation? 7 texts. Next one is suspension with the WNBA. Less complaining, more playing. That's an interesting point. She gets in a habit, though. Sometimes she'll pick up those quick fouls. I think she realizes that she's just got to let her play do the talking. She's never going to get the benefit of the call unless it's really egregious, where she gets raked across the face. And even then, the league has missed some calls. But maybe there's something to be said, because if you go back a couple weeks ago on the air, what did I say? She was a ticking time bomb. And then she drops 45 and 10 against Seattle, right? So there could be something to said, really. MVP of the league should be a big player who's elite. 5 positions. Is Angel Reese of Boston? Oh, no. No. Angel, would she, offensively, you're going to sit there and say she's elite? She had a good game last night, but she's a horrible finisher around the rim. And a lot of these rebounds are benefits off her misses. Boston, no. Boston is such an enigma. I'm sorry. She's an enigma, man. I see Fever fans hit me up on X. They want Boston gone. You're running a poor defense. That's the problem. I'm sorry. You're running a poor offense. You're running a poor offense because when you heat up, you have to recognize who's got the hot hand on the floor. And if I'm Caitlin Clark, I'm starting to realize, as much as I want to get my teammates involved, when I see Boston at the top of the key or beyond the arc, she usually pulls the trigger. She won't do it. That's a confidence issue. So I don't need this hub. I don't need you to dribble up the floor, get it to AB at the top, and then I got to fight through a bunch of defenders and screens to get the ball back at the same position. That's pointless. And then you saw who she had on the floor last night with Clark. I mean, what are you proving a point? You're throwing players out there that haven't really gotten a lot of burn? This coach stinks, and they're winning in spite of the coach's deficiencies. They really are. Mike on Ohio chimes in, 26 and 9 over the last 12. That's ridiculously impressive, Q. It is. She's taking contact. She's trying to get to the line. And she's doing what she needs to do. And like I said the other day on Monday, don't get it twisted. Mitchell is a fantastic player. Her job is to score. If we're going to make the argument, now hear me out. If you're going to make the argument when you're talking about MVP, and everyone sits there and says it's got to be Wilson because she does multiple things on the floor. She rebounds, she defends, she scores. Okay, then you can't throw Mitchell in the conversation because Mitchell doesn't defend, doesn't facilitate. Her job is to score. But you have to throw Clark in the conversation because she rebounds very well as a guard. She's an unbelievable floor general. We know that. Her vision is just absurd. She's an assist dime-making machine, and she can score on multiple levels on the floor. She can put it on the floor. She can pop. She can stop and pop. She can score off the screen. She can go to the bucket. She takes her defender. So again, my opinion, It's 2 players. That's it. It's no Stewart, no Buckets, no Mitchell, no Miles. It's down to 2. And Reese helped her out last night because Atlanta went on the road and they beat a team that everyone still believes is the best team in the league, even though many are still overlooking the Lynx. So to me, that is MVP worthy. That's MVP worthy. Ocho, they can hate CC all they want. See it as their savior, like it or not. Look, if there's an MVP where you can actually win the award also for what you're doing on the floor and off the floor, your impact to the game, then yeah, she'd win it every single year. Every single year. Every single year, right? You can always spot an AR fan by choosing KM. I mean, it's ridiculously, but again, you know, it's been much more quieter, right? On a Wednesday. Indiana's now ranked 3rd in the standings. They have a better record by. There you go. And Reese helped them out last night. Atlanta helped them out. So if we're going by the rationale of the best team in the league, then here we go. Right? That's all I'm saying. She's got to be in the conversation. I think we need to agree, and I believe it would come down to the last handful of games. I honestly, in my heart of heart, believe that. The problem is we've said, the media is so skewed. There's no way Mitchell is better than Clark. Mitchell can. If you take Clark off the floor, I got news for you. Mitchell's numbers are going down. Mitchell's been an all-star, and her numbers have gone up exponentially since Clark entered the league. Those are facts. It's not even up for debate. Mitchell can score. She's foul line extended. She's a great finisher. Stop and pop, mid-range. She's not Caitlin Clark. She cannot orchestrate because Caitlin Clark is a pure guard who can score. Mitchell is a scoring guard. She's not looking to facilitate her dish. If you ask her to run the offense, you know what it is? It's ISO. It's everyone get the hell out of the way. But Clark, late in the game, draws a triple, kicks it out. Why? That's the sound play. Mitchell's not doing that. Mitchell's going to try to take the contact in the lane and get to the line as opposed to having confidence in her teammates and kicking it out to Cunningham in the coffin corner. That's the difference. So Clark can have turnovers in the third, but when you need the facilitator, when you need the court vision, the acumen, the IQ to make a play late, she does. I'm not saying Mitchell's a dumb player. Absolutely not. But apples and oranges, man. If the award was for volume scorer who can rip off 15 in a row and score 24 a night and get hers, hands down Mitchell. But that's not what the award is. It's the most valuable player. The most valuable player who adds the most value on the floor on every single night. And by efficiency standpoint, by number standpoint, by stat standpoint, by contribution standpoint, if a team is averaging right around $1.02 a game and one player is accounting for 50% of that offense, that is beyond the definition of an MVP. Beyond. I appreciate your comments. I do. And I appreciate your opinion, but we're going to have to agree to disagree. We're going to have to agree to disagree. And when you are a point guard, yes, you are prone to turn the ball over at times. No excuse. Last night, 7 turnovers. To be fair, 2 of them were on teammates. The 5, they were all on her. She has to clean that up. But you take the good with the bad because late in the game, she makes the play. Those are winning basketball plays, guys and girls. They're winning basketball plays. That's all. And that's what you want. You want winning basketball. You want winning basketball plays. And right now, they are playing the best in the league. But man, can you guys do you not see what I see with this head coach? The organization, the head coach, they're openly pushing for Mitchell. They're pushing for her. They want that streak to keep going. They're pushing for her. She got gas last night. She got overheated. She couldn't even play in the 4th. So she plays. Maybe she drops, 35. But it doesn't mean she's MVP. They just want to push that narrative. They want to give her shine. She's been in the league for a long time. She's elevated her game. She's a great player. Breaking news, you're allowed to have great players on the same friggin' team, and it doesn't mean we're ignoring one of them. But watch the games closely. Every time Clark is cooking, there's either a substitution, a timeout. They won't allow her to purely run the offense. And they go to this half-court, ridiculous, horrible hub ball, which is stupid. It's pointless friggin' basketball. It is. It makes no sense. It's pointless basketball. When they're winning and they were scoring 100 and they had that nice little run, you know why? Because they allowed 22 to do what she does best. Stop controlling her. She's a pure guard. Let her do what she does. Break down defense, draw, double and triple. Name me another player in this league that draws those defensive assignments. Name me another player in the league that's guarded as physical as she is. Name me another player in the league that doesn't get the calls. Wilson gets every friggin' call. I was shocked when she missed that layup last night. She looked around and put her arms in the air. She should have got teed up. She didn't. She was mouthing off. She gets every friggin' call there is. Wilson whistle. This coach has gone out of her way to push for KM. And I hearken back to the minutes restrictions at 29. When she plays more than 29, her averages goes up to 24 to 25. Now, then it's a foregone friggin' conclusion. She's the MVP. Steph White pushing KM so hard it's affecting her. She plays her the whole first quarter and most of the game. CC goes to the bench. KM's usually always out there. It's going to hurt her. Yes, it's a great point. It's a great point. You can't hurt your stars. You can't. You can't. So you're pushing, and the kid gets gassed and can't play in the fourth quarter. When it was obviously they needed her on the floor in the fourth quarter away because it's going to take some pressure away. Right? 2 shots of Banaka. Hop in the Oldsmobile. Cruise the strip down to Jersey. Seaside Heights. Ugh. Banaka. Thank you. What did I call it? Banaka? Is it Banaka? Do they still make that? I think I had Banaka once when I was a kid. I got to Google that. Banaka. Do they still make that? Banaka. Mouth. For dry mouth? No. Does it cause dry mouth? Banaka? I don't know. Remember you just used to kind of like pop in a cert, right? Maybe a little spearmint, just, and then roll, right? Need to rest KM. She doesn't burn out in the playoffs. They mentioned that last night in the broadcast. All about using the number, using the numbers. I'm sorry. The minutes restriction. Yeah. Here's a prediction. KM. On a Wednesday, Michael. You got to say that for a Man Up Monday. Hangs up the shoes after the season. Oh, my goodness. Rich, you would definitely get to lead the CC fan club. I appreciate that. Yeah, you know what, Billy? Thank you. I would do it in a heartbeat. Oh, my goodness. I would clean up this league so fast it would make your friggin' head spin. And oh, by the way, I would cut out all the friggin' nonsense with these friggin' journals. I mean, Holly Rowe, what are you doing crying on the tube? Stop with the friggin' crocodile tears. Stop. I would send a memo to ESPN. You need to fire McNutt. You need to get these talking heads off the friggin' TV, okay? You need to bring in credible former players that are going to be absolutely objective, okay? And I would bring in a new commissioner. Well, I mean, that would be me, really. But if you're saying overhead, I would probably have to bring in a right-hand man and or woman, someone I trust, from a marketing and branding standpoint. I would clean that crap up, and I would also be a hardliner. You mouth off, T. You mouth off again, automatic suspension. And you better watch what you put out there on social media. Yeah, I would be that guy. Yeah. Think of me kind of like Louis Gossett Jr. in An Officer and a Gentleman. I would be that guy. I would be the sergeant. I would. Absolutely. How about Pam? Oh, whoa. How about Pam over here? Opening up peeling back the curtain. Love the Jakar. My husband still wears it. Takes me back to my... Pam getting a little frisky on him Wednesday. There we go. White and the Fever doing everything possible to make sure KM keeps a 20-point score streak alive against Dream in overtime. They call all the plays for KM so she can get to 20. CC didn't get a shot in overtime. That's what they do. It is absolutely agenda driven. It is. Angie chimes in. I'd like the handle. Angie knows ball. Wilson is good, but she's performing at her average. Shouldn't the winner for this year be better than last year? Nice little point. It's a nice little point. But how much stock do you also give into the fact that, and again, not to dispel her, she's a phenomenal player. She also plays both ends of the floor, right? So you're now saying get up and down the floor, rebound, and defend. Look, she's a Hall of Fame player. Yeah, she was exhausted. She got ran into the ground. That's why she was dehydrated. She was overheated. You don't want to mess with that. You don't. You don't want to mess with that. She's still a young player. She's a great player, but I don't see a play. When you're playing at such a high level, it's hard for me to think, especially in basketball, you're contemplating retirement. I mean, hell, she's second in the league in scoring at 24, and Caitlin Clark's right there at 22. She's 30. And again, she's really, over the last 4 to 5 years, and really the last 2 to 3, she's a late bloomer. Like, now she's getting the love that she deserves. She was a hell of a player at Ohio State. You're talking about a second overall pick. She's a great player, great finisher. But I'm not going to put her in the category of, say, what Caitlin Clark is doing. That's all. Ashley chimes in, no way Kane retires. Get another Supermax, and not with the Fever, then with a different team. Their cap is brutal. It's brutal. Total Strange, Wilson's still the clear front runner. That's what the bookies say, but I'm telling you guys. I'm telling you. This just in, this year's MVP, she wanted before, stop using that. It's not this season. Correct. And there are games left. That's why I'm imploring you guys to watch carefully. Because all you need is a player to tweak an ankle, goes down, God forbid, they lose a couple games, and then you have another player. If Mitchell's minutes are going to be restricted and Clark's back's okay, she might get another 2 to 3 minutes on the floor, which is another couple possessions. I mean, it adds up, guys. It adds up. It really does. It's not like there's 50-something odd games left, but there's a decent amount of games left in this season. So, Mitchell, that streak's going to come to an end eventually, because they know they need her for the... I mean, you have to think records are great, but it's all about the playoffs. And I want fresh legs. I don't want to tire my stars out. I don't. So you got Minnesota, Golden State, you got the Aces, right? We know they've all clinched. And the Lynx are a very solid team, 29-7, but they also have the most difficult schedule remaining. 7 of their 8 games are against teams who are in playoff position, 500 record or better. So now, all of a sudden, they actually might start D'ing up Miles a little bit. Her numbers might drop. Collier's already back, right? Now, they're 14-5 at home. They're a tough out. Then you look at, they've got Indiana's got Dallas, August 20th, right? They've got New York, August 22nd, and they're 2-1 in that series. So you've got meaningful games. Golden State's playing Minnesota. Golden State's playing New York, 24th and the 27th, respectively. And then you got Minnesota, Atlanta. So, you go back, Minnesota lost the season opener to the Dream. So you got big games coming up. And I think this is where, if we're really having a serious, honest conversation about MVP, this is where MVPs earn the award. This is where you put your money where your mouth is. That's all. This is where you put your money where your mouth is. If you're ready to step up, you're ready to step up. And I'll tell you, I don't care. You get to this point, and with all due respect, I don't care what you did last year. I don't care what Caitlin Clark did her rookie season. I don't care about the awards that Wilson... I don't care about that. We're talking about now. We're living in the present, right? Isn't that life what it's all about? Forget about yesterday. It's gone. Forget about tomorrow. Focus on right now. Right now. Every possession, every quarter, every result. If they keep winning and she keeps putting up these numbers and she keeps contributing as mightily as she has to the offense, and now you got to think about fresh legs going into the playoffs. I don't know how Steffi White's going to play this. I don't. I really don't. I mean, I know people can't stand when we do the crystal ball and we look into the future or play the what if game, but what if Clark was averaging 25, 10, and 9, almost a triple-double, and the MVP is right there for her, but you realize you're talking about playoff seeding and you don't want to burn her out. And she tweaked her back. And she's probable. She's not. She's questionable. She's probable. She's going to be out there. She's not going to play 33 minutes. She's going to play 28 minutes. Like, I'm sure somewhere in the back of these coaches' minds, maybe they're thinking about it. But at the end of the day, the first thing priority is winning basketball games and getting the best seed. And also conserving the energy of your players and not wearing them down. So you have to be very, judicious about that. You have to. You just have to. You have to be judicious about that. Aces are loaded. Wilson, Young, unbelievable. They're a big-time team. Clark fan, numbers say MVP to watch it if she's not at her own standard. I think right now, if I can give you all the pros, okay? It's very easy to give you the pros. But the cons will be this. The negative, if we're nitpicking, people will say, well, she also has a great teammate that can also take some of the scoring load off her, which is fair. We will also look at some of these games where, as much as you guys don't want to have this conversation, this is the reality. You can't have 4 or 5 straight games. I'm not saying that she's had, where you have 3 assists and 5 or 6 turnovers. Especially, again, if we go back to the Aces game, where she turned it over several times late and was just inexplicable trying to get the ball to Mitchell. And Mitchell should have just basically flashed and went to the corner. It's an easier pass. And Wilson has, the defensive play of the game. That falls on Clark. She's got to know better. So the detractors will say, for someone that, like Paul, someone that shoots from the logo, her three-point shooting percentage is really not up to snuff, which, I don't know. I mean, I can live with 4 of 10, and then she hits a dagger to win it or to seal the game late. Percentage, okay. The turnovers, right? And then also having a teammate in Mitchell who's had a remarkable run, who also might pull some votes. That's the other thing. When it's all said and done, my belief is I can't trust the voting process. I haven't come out in full force and said, give her the award. And I'm not hedging and I'm not pushing the goalpost back. Every day, though, I just want to make a more compelling, stronger case to you guys. In my gut, they look at the center position. They've already anointed Wilson the MVP before we've even tipped off. So now it's almost like predetermined. So you've already subconsciously planted the seed. The networks, these networks where we watch the games, listen to the games, view the games, rarely, if any time or ever, bring up Clark as an MVP. It's only over the last several days, the last week, it's always been others. I mean, I heard the other day they still mention Paige. Stop with the nonsense. So that filters down. So I'm not really confident with the voting process in this panel. And if you had 35 to 50 objective, genuine people watching the sport of basketball and didn't have an agenda, didn't have a bias, didn't have a fan favorite or a player favorite, I bet you the voting would be a lot closer than you guys think. I really do. I do. I really believe that. Yeah, turnovers. I mean, that's the problem, right? I mean, you can't gloss. Listen, a quarterback can go 20 of 28 for 288 and 3 touchdowns, but if he throws a pick 6 on the last drive and you're down by 6, you know what we're talking about on a Monday? We're talking about the pick, right? Solely based on offensive output. I think in this conversation, that's one of the reasons she won't win it, because if that's it, total stranger, it goes to my defense of what the league looks at, right? It goes to my argument that the center position, that's got to come with what? Some ounce of rim protection, some ounce of defensive dominance, and then efficiency around the paint. And if you check off the boxes, that's Wilson. But again, I just, without, repeating myself, I still think the efficiency offensively, then if you take her off the floor, can Mitchell really distribute, facilitate, handle the offensive load? Can you trust other players to do what she's doing, account for 50-plus points? I don't believe so. That's what makes it a more compelling argument. And for those that sit there and say player X is running away with the division, running away with the award, I would say not so fast. That's all I would say. I would say not so fast. And that's where I'm just trying to go with this. David says, great day to be a Clark fan. As I said before, Fever end up second place or get 24 points, 9 assists per game. And see, you're saying a lock. I know you mentioned it yesterday. It's all about what they're looking at, the voters are looking at. If it's up to fans, it's a different animal. And that's going to be swayed. And it's not going to be objective. It's just not. That's the problem. And when you start to, again, kind of talk about pulling the votes, that's another issue, right? What's going on, Mark? Yeah, I mentioned it. I mean, you got to be, a pain in the ass to get under Mitchell's skin. And good for Mitchell, showing a little bark. Look, MA, she's a feisty player, man. She's an absolute feisty player, man. Like, you don't like her if you're playing against her, but if she is on your team, you love her. AB getting in her own head. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I honestly don't know what's going on, but I go back to a couple games ago. She had a clean look at a 3, and she didn't pull the trigger. Agree 100% at times should be. She should. She should be more selfish. Like, you want to make that great pass. I understand that, but now I have to. If I'm not seeing you release, if I'm not seeing you flash, if I'm not seeing you with confidence shoot the basketball, and when I say a confident stroke, if you got a clean look, you got to shoot. Whether it goes in or not, that's different. I'm not talking about bad shot selection, but more times than not, when she starts to penetrate and they converge and slide over, she kicks it right back out at the top of the key, or they swing it quickly. Boston, who is a decent three-point shooter, has to be able to finish. She's got to be able to knock down that shot. And she also needs, when she rolls to the bucket, these are bunnies, man. These are bunnies. These are easy layups. These are makeable layups. And I just don't get it. I just don't get it. And I go back to the game where Gray hit the 2 threes. You know what bothered me the most? She didn't try to dive for that loose ball. Cunningham does. And then that last possession where she got back lackadaisical on defense. Remember now, you're going against a smaller player. No one's saying you got to lunge and try to block the shot. Just contest a three-pointer. She didn't do that. She was so late to close out, and it cost them the game. It cost them the game. It does. And the other thing that bothers me with this team, this is where I think they're really going to get in trouble, which we really haven't discussed. They can't rebound. They cannot rebound at all. They are one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. They are allergic to the basketball under the rim, and they don't have the freaking size. They don't. Aces fan, appreciate you chiming in. Feel like Jackie Young is supposed to be averaging 21. To me, she's no different than any bench player. I never ever, Aces fan though, Jackie Young was elite. I think she's a very good player. I do. Remember too, you got to look at who you have around you, right? I mean, her numbers for the season, what's she at? 19 points, right around 4 rebounds, 6 or 7 assists. You're still talking about a young player. You're talking about a player that, if we go back, prior to the game against Minnesota, she had a great run as well. She had 32 against Washington. I think back-to-back 32 and 25. She's got to work on the turnovers, but she's a young player. And, again, if we're going to criticize Caitlin Clark, you don't want a young guard. You don't want to have your backcourt to have 7 assists and 6 turnovers. That's a horrible ratio. But she's a good player. She doesn't need to be elite, right? And I know she's been in the league for a handful of years. Don't get me wrong. And you would like her to clean up the turnovers. I know what you want. You want her at this stage of her career. When I say young, she's only 27, 28, I believe. Now, you want to debate the merits of her career and say, is she a top overall draft pick? Has she played like that? I think at times, at spurts, I think she's a very good player. There's a place for her on the floor. There's a place for her in this league. But look at the roster. Look at this roster. I mean, Gray's a scorer. Carter, even though she's only played in a handful of games this year, right? She's only played in a handful of games. She's a good player. And then obviously you have a perennial MVP in Wilson. And you've got size as well. I like young games. I like her game. I do. There are certain players I gravitate towards the guards in the league. I've always have, even when I call games. I don't want to say biased towards the guard, but I'm a big fan of guard play. And I like the guard to play sound, smart basketball, right? You need mental health when it comes to CC. I mean, I got my benefits. I'm good. I don't know. Apparently the C was not working in Toronto. The AC, it was not. Stephanie White has a team at the 3 seed. I mean, come on, man. I can't, Kenny, I can't stand this coach. I can't. I refuse to do it. I'm not giving her credit. I'm not doing it. Carter forcing her to get away because Carter statistically was starting to make Young and Gray look bad. Boston missed Toronto. Many opportunities. How did Boston catch straight? Because she's an enigma. That's why. She's an enigma. One night she has like 16 and 14, and then the next she has 6 and 8. She gets in foul trouble, and you watch her on the floor, and you're like, do you even know how to play the game of basketball? Right? Clark is far from one-dimensional, but she's not a center. Correct. And they love the center position. Look, you got a dominant player, man. She blocked Angel Reese like 4 times last night in succession. She's a great player. She's a Hall of Fame player. But she does tend to get the whistle, right? You can take her out of her game a little bit. She's still very efficient on the low block. She can nail the 3, right? So, Rich, that's why they moved KM to guard. She can't, yeah. It's a liability too, right? So they can say she defensively, but they can say she's a top scorer. Scoring in this league, the way this league is designed, the talent, it like drops off exponentially with some of these bottom teams. But imagine if some of these teams were actually making their layups consistently. Come on, we all watch this league. We all watch these games. Some of these players, it's fundamental basketball. They have no idea how to finish around the rim. They just don't. The averages would go up. The scoring would go up. But sometimes it's a clunky, goofy league. Like fundamentals are not there. You got to understand, if you're guarding it, like right now, here's the other thing. From a defensive standpoint, if I'm playing Indiana, and now all of a sudden, if I see Boston just kind of hanging out beyond the arc, hanging out top of the key, hanging out near the perimeter, and Clark starts to penetrate, I got news for you. Because Boston is reluctant to shoot the basketball, there's no need for me to slide over. I'll slide over a weak side help with Clark, but I'm not going to close out on Boston until she proves to me I need to close out. That's another thing. So we sit there and say she's catching strays. You got to think long game. If you're on the floor for spacing, for the hub, to get on the low block, to allow for the guards to facilitate, to dribble drive, for the kick, but you're reluctant to shoot where you're comfortable on the floor, defensively, I'm not going to respect you anymore. I will draw out. I will commit to you. I will close out when you start making that shot. She's not making the shot, let alone she's not even shooting. She's not even pulling the trigger. Like last night, she receives, and then she gives it right back up. Or she hesitates, and then she wants to put it on the floor. By that time, they've already closed out. They've clogged the lane. She's got nowhere to go. That's why I'm being critical of Boston. And that's got to be key. That's got to be teaching. But you also, teammates have to tell her, you got this. Go to the bucket. Shoot. This is what you do. This is why you have to be there. You have to. That's what we talk about, having trust in teammates. That fourth quarter last night, no Mitchell on the floor. Well, what happens? As soon as Clark picks up her dribble, they double, they triple. They don't want her to get the basketball back. And that's why they allowed Toronto to get back in the game. They started to close out. They made adjustments. They were knocking down some wild friggin' threes. Indiana was missing some shots. They were actually shooting the ball way too early, by the way. That's another thing that's coaching with the shot clock when you have a double-digit lead like that, and all of a sudden you're giving up possession to possession, 2-for-1s, quick closeouts, and they allow Toronto to get right back in this game. So it is a domino effect. It is. It's a domino effect. Like, I don't know if it's a mental thing with her. I don't know if it's a coaching thing. I think it's lack of confidence and So let me walk it back. I've seen players do this. They're in a rut. It's like a field goal kicker that's shanking it left and right. Like, now he's overthinking. He's not swinging through. He's trying to push the football. If you're Boston, just pull the trigger. If it's a clean look, pull the trigger. Stop overthinking. Stop overanalyzing it. Because your teammates entrusting you with the basketball. Clark is doing her job. Mitchell is doing her job. They're drawing the double. They're commanding that defense, right? Now, I need someone to bail me out. Once I draw, kick, swing it, release. That's it. It should not be that hard. Whether you're overanalyzing it, whether you're hesitating, whether it's a confidence thing, if they're going to make a run, they need her. They do. They need her on the floor and engaged. And that's an issue. And at this stage of her career, even though she's still a relatively young player, you got to understand, when you have a true ball handler on the floor, you got to clear out. That's all. 219, no one is close. Okay. I call it a race, and I'm going to tell you why. It's not close in this regard because it was predetermined she was going to win it. And quite frankly, she's had a phenomenal year. Like, I'm not going to be mad if Wilson wins. But for argument's sake today, for show purposes, I'm just making a case that Clark is making it a little more of an interesting conversation for what she's been able to do. And to your point, it was a foregone conclusion before the season started. Like, Miles will win an MVP one day. She won't win it this year. She'll win Rookie of the Year. We've hit the nail ad nauseum when we talk about how the league views rookies, right? You got to harken back, right? It's only happened one time. And then, if we're really talking about the validity of the league, when they look at the guard play, 2 true, legit guards have won the MVP. By definition. True point guards, not scoring guards, is my point. I guess I hadn't run across a stat, and that makes me more comfortable with her run for the M, to be truthful. There's so many different numbers you can throw to make an argument. Like, later on in the week, I can state a case, hands down, for Wilson. I can state a case for Miles. It's just how you view the numbers. It is subjective. It is. You're going to stick 70-something people in a room, and they're not all going to agree. It's like Hall of Fame voting. So now you've got voters that are basically stating their case, right? Stating their case. That's all. So we can skew the numbers all you want. But the other stat that I brought up, and I don't care about when a player's not on the floor, but in this regard, it's accurate to the debate. When Clark plays 29 or more minutes, and do with this as you want, her numbers go up to 24, 25 a game. Numbers go up to 24, 25 a game. So you go to the minutes restrictions, the quote back issues, pulling off the floor after a mistake. You know, again, the other night, you're chasing points and she doesn't start the fourth quarter. That's coaching. Now, if you've ever covered the game of basketball or played the game of basketball or watched the game of basketball, you know one thing. The longer you're on the floor, the more opportunities you have. Now you're talking plus 2 to 4 possessions. So, I do this for a living. I can bring down these numbers all day long. Her numbers go up. They go up. Now, all of a sudden, she's right there when you're talking about scoring. She's right there. 24 to 25 and 26. There's really not much of a friggin' difference. I got news for you. There isn't. 319, 326, batting average? Nah. Come on, you're splitting hairs. Now you add in everything else. Very easy to make the numbers, if they're accurate, which they are, because I'm not going to just throw them at you, prove your case. State your case. So when you argue, create it, right? It's not a made-up stat. Because if you're a defender and you get a block or a rebound and you start what? Transitional offense, is that not generated off a rebound? That's a point created off of what? A defensive play. Like, you guys just want to keep, I'm telling you, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, some of you guys, I got to pull your card when it comes to basketball. These are not generated. It's just basketball 101. We call it back in the day, they do all the little things that don't show up. So if I'm stating a case, I damn well better, this is my last shot, I better state my freaking case. So if you guys are the judges, I got to make a strong case. So if you're Wilson and you're getting a rebound, that starts what? A fast break. A block turns into what? A little loose change, and now all of a sudden the ball's in your guards and you're running the floor, which turns into what? An easy layup. It all goes hand in hand, man. Maybe you don't like the verbiage, or maybe you just don't like that people will incorporate that number, that stat. But if you are going on face value, assist point, like I said the other day, again, this is not breaking news. A base hit is great. A walk is just as good as a base hit. Why? Because you got the first. Doesn't matter how you get there. So if I'm talking about 23, 24 points plus another 10, and I'm generating X amount, and I'm only averaging 100 a game, and I'm accounting for almost 50%, you're going to tell me there's no value in that? Like, you go high, I go low. That's all. That's exactly the debate that we're doing. And here's the thing. I told you this. Wilson's winning the award. It's not even, I can't campaign. I don't have a friggin' vote. Nobody cares what I have to say. I'm just making an argument. But I can also come on the air tomorrow and make an argument, and a strong one, for Miles. I can come on the air on Friday and make a strong case for Mitchell. Why? Because I know how to break down these games, and I know how to break down these stats and these numbers and efficiency. We know Wilson is winning it. But this is for a lot of the Clark detractors out there who can't appreciate exactly what she's doing. You guys want to throw a 15, 16 game stretch of 20 plus points for Mitchell, but nowhere in the conversation have you included what? Getting others involved, rebounding. You just want to talk about scoring. That's a one-dimensional player. That's not an MVP. As much as I can make a case, it would be a bad one, that's not an MVP. You want to push the goalpost back every time it comes to 22. That's all. And you're okay. That's fine, man. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. But the agenda, some of you, and you all have opinions, and you're all entitled to your opinions. Your opinions are blinded. I can come on the air and tell you she didn't play well last night because she had a horrible third quarter. She had bad turnovers. But I can also say the body of work over the last month plus has been one of the big reasons this team is where they're at. You guys will hear that and say, he's pissing on KM. No, I'm not. Because I've acknowledged Mitchell 1,000 times on these airwaves. But she's not an MVP, and she's not better than Caitlin Clark. Does she score at a ridiculous clip? Does she attack at a ridiculous clip? Absolutely. Is she a physical player? The one thing she does best that Caitlin Clark needs to learn how to do, and I've said it multiple times on this show, on these airwaves, is that when Mitchell goes to the bucket, she invites the contact. She doesn't look for it. Clark looks for the contact. She doesn't play through. That's the difference. That's why Mitchell always finishes. That's why Mitchell, for the majority of the time, gets a lot of N1 opportunities. Clark's thinking, no, just go to the rim. It's basketball one-on-one, man. You watch it long enough, you play it long enough, you cover it long enough, I call the games long enough. It's basketball one-on-one. That's what makes Mitchell a special player, but she's also one-dimensional. Her job is to score. It's not to facilitate. That's Caitlin Clark's job. So sometimes she's a little too selfish, she's a little unselfish. But man, you pop her over 29 minutes and these teammates start making a couple bunnies, she's averaging about 25 and 16. I mean, then what are we doing? We're going to keep pushing the goalpost back? We know who is winning the award. We know who's winning the award. But again, just like it's just like NFL talk. We're just making a case for and why. That's all. CC could get a raise next season when she makes a first team. Fever losing either CC or Mitchell due to Supermax deal and cap space issues. Oh, it's one of the reasons I said they should trade her. And remember, she's got to play out her rookie deal. If this was next year, this would be a fun conversation. This would be a fun conversation. But you're right, because Stephanie White absolutely loves Mitchell. Loves Mitchell. Absolutely loves Mitchell. I got news for you. I'm not an Indiana Fever fan. I got news for you. I don't have a team in the WNBA. I also have news for you. If you're new to the show, I've come on 1,000 times saying Wilson is the MVP. She's a Hall of Fame player. I love Miles, sensational rookie. I think Mitchell's a great player, and I'm a Caitlin Clark fan. Not the end of the world, man. Don't get it twisted. Don't get bent out of shape over it, okay? This is not an Indiana Fever channel. We talk sports. By the way, we had a great NFL show yesterday, which James Hasty, who played for Kansas City, was on the ballot for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's actually going to be chiming in during the week. Hank Poteet won a ring with the Patriots. Brandon Jacobs won 2 rings with the Giants. They're going to be some weekly guests for you NFL guys out there as well. But we like to do instant reaction after these games to get you guys in on the conversation. Let me get through a couple more of these. Yeah, the arena was like sticky, right? Was it not? I don't know what to tell you. Apologize for the ads. Got to make the money, DB, unless you guys contribute to the show with my sponsors. Going to coach at Ohio State. I'll see if I can work through that with the YouTube channel. MVP is Wilson. KM might just go to the expansion team in Ohio. I don't want to offend Ohio since I did radio up there, which we already said. The Cleveland Sirens. Restrict CC's minutes with KM if they restrict him. Yeah, I think they have to, right? You can't do one without the other, right? Fever's biggest advantage is they are by far the best shooting team in the league. Yeah, but they can't rebound. That's a problem. They can't rebound. They're a horrible rebounding team, man. They just don't have size. They have none. One way that happens if KM gets 20. Yeah, you get her 20, and then she comes out of the game, right? Based on how the MVP has been determined, Wilson dominates, and that's why she's going to win it. Yes, that's why she's going to win it. She's a Hall of Fame player. I tried to even push to maybe if the media was going to try to do the right thing or really be objective. Maybe it's kind of like Wilson fatigue, like Jordan when Karl Malone won it, but it's not. Rich, there's a huge advantage being 3rd seed and 4th seed. Yes, because you want it. Right. It's all about avoiding certain teams, right? And there are some teams that they don't match up well. That seeding, it's key in everything. In everything. Sonny chimes in. Appreciate that. Caitlin Clark, 2026, two-time APN Player of the Week. Yes. Four-time Player of the Week. Yeah, Player of the Month, too. Yeah. I mean, listen, she's been on a great run, and yet the Fever are still pushing Mitchell. They're still pushing Mitchell, which I'm not really a fan of. Not Mitchell, but I'm not a fan of them pushing, right? So, they're great, a handful of really good players in this league. Really, really. It's obvious KM is the fastest person on the court without the ball. She's running by people like she's invisible. Once she puts the ball, she's 5'8" and she's strong. She's strong, man. She's absolutely strong. And she's a great finisher. I text my buddy last night. I'm like, this kid, man, I mean, she's drawing contact. She's finishing with the left hand. She's attacking strong. Fantastic player. Just fantastic. Yes, that's the other argument I made. Apples to oranges. Of course, when you're a center, you're expected to what? Be a rim protector, be efficient, and also rebound. Correct. Now, the league, we know, right? The league has been predicated on the center position. They want the dominant position. I believe it should be guard heavy. But I also believe that because they want to run it through, really, Mitchell, she's that first option, which means Caitlin Clark, as the true guard on the floor, has to get the ball to who? Mitchell. Feed her. Do you know it's a thing of beauty when you see that backdoor cut where they're slashed into the basket? I mean, that's when Mitchell's at her best because Clark, the only player in the league on the floor, can do what she does, get her to basketball. In space, create when she slashes and when she cuts. That's what makes those two dangerous on the floor at the same time. If the fans voted the person with the most, yeah, that's another thing. I mean, yeah, you might get Angel Reese winning it. You might get Sophie Cunningham winning it. Yeah, you might, yeah. Might get Carrington winning it, right? I'll have to check that. Are they off the hook today? I mean, hey, man, YouTube, I guess I'll have to send them a message. I don't know why they're off the chart today. The ads are crazy. All right, we got it, guys. We got it. I apologize. I guess they like the content, so they're picking up the channel. What are we going to do with it? Still going with Miles and how she steered the Lynx to the best record with Collier being out and roster changes, roster through new team expansion, free agency, just a rookie. Right, because she held that team together. She held that team together, 100%. 100%. She's a great player. She's a phenomenal player. Caitlin Clark did, plus the 45 and 10. Michael Wilson, 22 is the reason why I started watching WNBA. Lisa Leslie retired. That was the last time I watched. Interesting. Wow. So you jump back in. CC well for the 11 best guard. Yes, I know the ads, guys. You're lucky I don't even take breaks when I'm on the air for over 2 hours, and you guys are bitching and complaining about friggin' ads. I talk for well over 2 hours. You ever see me say we'll be back in 30 friggin' seconds? No, just deal with it today. I'm not worried about the MVP voting. Why? Because the same 72 voters who votes for the MVP vote on the Rookie of the Year and all. I'm telling you, man. You're very confident, David. Are you confident or not? You throw a couple shekels with those odds? Are you that confident where you would do that? I don't think AB is a snake. Go to blank, Steph White to fans. Yeah, can't complain. Stats, different positions. Problem is spacing. Like Cece said, they don't know where they need to be. Yes. They don't. Facts. Facts. They don't. Listen, if they decide who they want to keep, and you got to look at the contracts because Mitchell signed her contract. Clark's rookie, right? That contract runs out. She'll be in line for the Epic. I don't know if they want to pay her. She's not going to take a discount. But if you gave him truth serum, Mitchell's not going anywhere. She's not. Boston looks completely outcoached. Too talented to be playing the way she is. That's coaching. That falls on coaching. That's all. And this coach also, I think, hamstrings Clark. I do. Did you block Pete before I showed up? No. Guys, listen, there was talk about a little more of control of the chat. Correct, Ken. And that's created by, as you know exactly why that's created or how that's created. And they work at perfection. No, there was no blocking. I think my little summons to the office the other day maybe rattled a few cages. And again, we just wanted to, just kind of settle that. It is the yips, like a friggin' field goal kicker. You know when a field goal kicker is overthinking and they're pushing it? It's the yips. Like, pull the friggin' trigger. Have confidence. Your teammates want you to shoot the basketball. They want you to shoot. You know a player has zero confidence when they're really good from beyond the arc and they're an efficient scorer and they can knock down the open look, and then all of a sudden in their mind they missed a couple. It's a replay over and over and over, and they just don't want to pull the trigger. That is all about confidence. And I mentioned this the other day. Like, Cunningham doesn't lack confidence. She comes off the bench. When you come off the bench and you're a role player and you knock down your first shot, that invigorates the whole team. It really does, because now we've got someone to rely on. Now we can go to the bench to spell some of these players, right? If you're a starter and you're Boston and you know you can score, then, the defense is weary of that. But if you're not willing to be an aggressive player or shoot the basketball when you're open, I have absolutely no desire to try to defend you, because I'm not respecting your game. I'm not. It's like, again, you guys know I'm in the boxing game. I call the fights. I'll equate it to the boxing game, right? You got the one fighter where he refuses to get inside when he knows he can get inside because the opposition's got no power. So he's not going to get caught, but he's just reluctant to try to go to the body because in his mind, he's thinking he's going to get caught. And he's going against a guy that's got like 2 knockouts in 20 pro fights. Yeah, you can still get knocked out, but my goodness, over 10 rounds, work inside a little bit, bang the body, the head's going to fall. That's got to be a want. That's got to be an attitude. I lack confidence now to go to the body. She lacks confidence. Stephanie White's got to go in her ear and say, you got the green light, kid. You got the green light. Pull the trigger. Pull the trigger. But it's not what we're seeing. It's just not what we're seeing. It's just not. That's the media, Bob. The media does that. The media does that. They can make a stat for the fastest player to blow their nose on the bench, tie their shoe the quickest, and run laps. They will come up with anything they want to fit their narrative. That's all. They will fit their narrative. That's all they're doing. So if the MVP voters don't or refuse to mention Clark in the media, they write, promote, or act in even with argument for CC as MVP, it'll never happen. Well, that's factual. Go look at the video I dropped the other day. They don't want Caitlin Clark to win the award. And we know why. We know exactly why. She doesn't fit the script. They don't want Plain Jane to win it. My job is to make a case for and against and to engage you guys and have a little fun with it. And even if I go back and watch every game, every offensive series, every defensive series, and we're talking about the Wilsons and the Clarks, yeah, Wilson's been dominant. She's been a dominant force. I don't know how many times I can say it. She plays that sexy position. She's the center, man. She's basically the last line of defense. She blocks, she rebounds, she runs the floor, and she can friggin' score. She's a dominant friggin' player. Again, though, when I try to make the argument, my thought was, to Billy's point, if the media was objective, maybe someone along the line, it's Wilson fatigue. Let's not overlook what Clark is doing in Indiana. And here, let me state my case. X, Y, and Z. Then you counter with A, B, and C. Wilson's winning it. But the media didn't help Caitlin Clark's case. They didn't help her cause. Now, they're not. You need to be objective. And now you've got fanboys and fangirls. When you listen to these halftime shows, I mean, they're just cackling like school kids. And they only mention Clark only because they have no other choice at times. But if you told them you don't need to mention 22 for a whole month, they're not going to mention her. And half the time, they really don't. So we kind of know their line of thinking. We know the place they're coming from. So when you've got the talking heads on ESPN, which airs the games, or ION or Prime, and they just consistently talk about 4 of their players, then the viewers, the fans, are going to sit there and say, well, you know what? They're never talking about her. She's garbage. She's trash. And these journalists who are supposed to cover the league fairly, which they don't, they're pacifists and activists, they already made up their mind who their MVP is. They're never going to give it to Caitlin Clark. They're never giving it to Caitlin Clark because she is that round peg in a square hole. I would be shocked if she got it. I'm not going to be mad. I would be shocked if she got it. I really would. They're going to pull votes from each other, right? That's another thing. They're going to continue to pull votes. Right, Q, that's what I said. The MVP race was down to Wilson and Miles, and got Miles winning due to Lynx seeding the Aces twice in the past week, and Miles with a strong performance. They frown upon the rookie, even though they shouldn't. I don't know what it is with these leagues and these pro leagues that, there's no way a rookie should win an MVP. Well, says who? Like, seriously, says who? But it's what history says. That's all. It's what history says, right? And we keep, we don't understand it. We don't change. We don't deviate. We're destined to repeat it. And we've only seen it once. We're not talking about regular rookie of the years, right? Where we've had some great, great players. But you're talking about MVP, rookie of the year in the same season. It's one person. It's Candace Parker in 2008. And she was phenomenal. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks. Unanimous rookie of the year. I mean, she had a historic season, but that was also 20-something odd years ago. The game has changed. The talent pool has changed. The line of thinking has changed. You go back in 2008, can you imagine with social media the way it is now? Is Candace Parker winning both those awards? She's probably going to win Rookie of the Year. I don't know. I have to go back and see as far as the MVP. Miles, if you sit there and you mention Clark in a rookie campaign, which was phenomenal, which Miles is still compared to Clark's rookie campaign, which was historic, Miles' rookie season is arguably one of the greatest too in WNBA history. And you guys brought up, I think, the best point. She did this while arguably one of the best players wasn't off the floor for an entire season. Now, you can talk about the roster being loaded and having one of the best coaches in the league. She still had to go out and perform. Like, you can't hedge it. You still got to go out and make plays. You got to drive. You got to go to the bucket. You got to score. You can play both ends of the floor. Now, is she guarded like Caitlin Clark? No. And we learned that when these two teams played and they refused to face guard her early on in the first half, and she had like 19. Her numbers are ridiculous. She's a phenomenal friggin' player. She broke Robinson's record and Clark's record for most three-pointers made by a rookie in a single game. She's a great player. She's Rookie of the Year, hands down. She will win an MVP one day. But the league and the voting process, they have to just start to look at other positions. You can sit there and say the guard / forward or the forward or the center. You got to start giving love to the pure point guard. The catalyst, the scoring guard, the facilitator. And once they start doing that, then I think it's going to open up opportunities for some of these players. But the media loves Miles. The media loves Wilson. The media loves Mitchell. They love buckets. They don't love Caitlin Clark. They don't. They don't love Caitlin Clark. They don't respect Caitlin Clark. They only mention her name when they have to. When they have to. Do you believe the Clark MVP moment was the fourth quarter with Mitchell out and didn't meet the moment? I mean, it's a very fair point you bring up because Wilson struggled down the stretch too last night and they lost the game, right? That's a fair moment. Like, is she going to have a meet the moment last night? I mean, you can argue who was also on the floor with her throughout the contest, but you're right. If you want to be taken serious as a legit MVP, I text my buddy, and even when they had the lead, I said, this is where she needs to take over. Now, once she gave up her dribble and they were double and triple teaming her, she was shit out of luck. But she did also make the play of the night because late in the game, when they needed a bucket, what did she do? She drew a triple team and kicked it out to Cunningham, who knocked down the three. But that is a fair point. Meet the moment. That's a fair point. She might have it still to come. I don't know. There might be a game down the stretch where playoff seedings hinge on it, and she's quiet for three and then erupts for 16 points in the fourth quarter. Who knows? Who knows? It's just these players they're worthy of the debate. They're worthy of the conversation. I just feel as though she's not getting a lot of credit for what she does. It's always with a caveat. It's like you talk about someone, but that's all, right? You talk about someone, but, and I think when it comes to her, she is such a polarizing player, right? Polarizing player. I don't understand. No one wants. I don't think it's about not wanting Mitchell to be the MVP. BB, I don't think it's not. I think Mitchell any other year, if you're talking about volume scorer and you're not really worried about the rest of her game, and Wilson doesn't have the type of season, Miles doesn't have this rookie campaign, and Clark's not putting up historic numbers, Mitchell is worthy. But it's subjective. It's how we define it. Everyone defines MVP differently. The coach is pushing towards KM. They want her to get hers. That's obvious. It's evident. It really is. If Clark were to win this award, she would have to have one of those ridiculous, it's undeniable 24, 10, and 9 seasons. That's a triple-double. You're going into the Oscar Robinson category, right? You're going into the Westbrook category. That's a triple-double, man. That can't be denied. At this point, and I think DB mentioned it, Michael might have mentioned it, we're so late in the season. It's a great run, but we're also so late in the season. If this was a prolonged run and you didn't have to worry about the minutes restrictions, then my case would be a lot stronger for Clark. If Mitchell elevated her game from, say, defensive paralysis, a couple assists here and there, having those big moments when Caitlin Clark doesn't, it strengthens her case. So, again, these conversations that we're having with this league, I just mention it, and I'll say it as we get ready to close out. It's the MVP race, this conversation, this debate, should not be as one-sided as people make it out to be. It shouldn't be as one-sided as people make it out to be. She's offense, man. Tippy toe, getting her minutes the other day. Harris had her moments as well. When you get 15 to 20 off the bench, Tom says, hey, everybody, quit crying about the ads. YouTube in this show is free. In today's world, where else can you get this content? And Rich needs 80% of the chat. Quit crying about 8 to 10 ads. That's what I'm saying. I got my sponsor right here, right? YouTube's catching the algorithm. You guys are chiming in. I apologize. I'll figure out what was going on. Sometimes they run a mid-roll. You guys, listen, I would never sit there and say pay wallet. Right, Tom? We're not going to do that. But we'll look into that. I promise I will look into that and we'll figure out what it is. He said, I'm trying to. That's the other thing. I can't even please half the time. I've had one fresh cup of coffee. I've been on the air for 2 hours. I got to walk Kiki in a minute. Got to get the late lunch, right? NFL talk tomorrow. breaking it up. NFL talk. I like Gray. She's a big player. I like Gray. I do. She's got ice water in her friggin' veins, man. Ken says Ruocco does a nice job on Yankee games. He's just another. You know, Ken, it's so. I'm glad you brought that up. I think he's a pro's pro. I do. Now I'm just talking about now. Obviously, I don't call WNBA games, but I call leagues in the States and I call a lot of different leagues in various countries overseas. So I do focus a lot more on what's being said during the broadcast. And he's look, WNBA payroll, right? So I get what you're saying, and it's a very legitimate point, because the other day, what happened at halftime, Angel Reese was 3 of 10, and they were talking about her being, the greatest rebounder in the history of the league, and, she can't finish. They don't point that out. And when it comes to Caitlin Clark, it was reminding the audience of Mitchell and the run. There's something to be said about that. Now, he's a great broadcaster. Don't get me wrong. He's got the camera. He's got the appeal, right? He engages the camera. He works with Lobo. They work well off of each other. They have a very good rapport on the air. But the league has become a very... It is a gender narrative, and if you're not part of it, don't say it, if that makes sense. Like, you might have a broadcaster who might sit there and say, well, hold on a second, why are you guys not talking about X, Y, and Z? They're not going to do that on these telecasts. They're just not. They're not going to do that. But what you're saying is definitely accurate. It's definitely accurate. It's a very fair and astute point. They won't not do it, but I believe at times they should. They should, because if you're being fair, you have to be honest with the listening audience, because the film doesn't lie. Like, what are we seeing sometimes? What are we watching? So to your point, yeah. We definitely, that's a problem, but what are you going to do about it, right? What is these arenas? And they had a glitch. Remember, they kept having horrible, I don't know if they had production problems, but yeah, I mean, yeah, correct. It's what they did in the Boston Garden back in the 80s, right? With Tommy Heinsohn calling the games, and Johnny Most. Crank it up, man. Bird and everyone else sweating, they're fine, but the Lakers were dehydrated. 84. That makes no sense. You can't have players playing that condition. You can't. And then you get the moisture on the floor and they can get hurt. That's the last thing you want. That's ridiculous. That's a bad job by Toronto. What did Clark say afterwards? Put the friggin' AC on, right? That's a horrible job. Horrible job. I mean, it's bad enough they had issues. You guys are killing me with the buffering, right? You're killing me with the ads. How about last night with the friggin' buffering? Every time we're trying to watch a play. Reminded me when I was in the hotel room after the broadcast watching the Knicks clinch. And the friggin' TV in the hotel in friggin' Baltimore kept buffering. It was horrible. If you take Mitchell off the Fever team, you're losing 26-28 a game. It would be a bad situation. Great player. You don't want to take either one of those players off the floor. Right? You don't. And they're going to pull votes. But it's set up where I think Wilson is going to run away with the award. Now, you can't be mad at that. You can't. If you're talking about how players are defended and what they're doing on a nightly basis, there's not a stat. It's factual. It's factual that the refereeing, the officiating is skewed against Clark at times. It's factual she's doubled and triple teams and she's fouled a lot of flagrants. She deals with a lot of contact. These are facts. But the counter argument is, well, the officiating stinks across the board. Well, then I push back and say, well, Wilson always gets a whistle. Why? Because she's a Hall of Fame player. So she's earned the benefit of that. Whether we like it or not, that's the reality of sports. You can't touch Mahomes. You can't touch Brady, right? You can't touch Manning. That's just the position of the quarterback in the NFL. They're going to get favorable whistles. Wilson has earned the right to get favorable calls. Do I like it? No, but that's sports. Can't do anything about it. Fair, foul, inbounds, outbounds, it's just how it is. But her numbers, because she plays the dominant position, are just ridiculously gaudy. I watched that game last night. I was taking notes. I've watched her all season long. She's a hell of a player. She's a phenomenal defensive player. And what makes her defensive game so brilliant is half the time when you watch, she's blocking these clean shots and she's not fouling anyone. She understands leverage. She understands positioning. She's an all-time great. And again, she shouldn't win the award based on what she's done in the past. It should be on this season merit alone. She's going to win it. She's going to win it. But let's also put the others, and especially number 22, at the table. At the table. I'm telling you, if this league was covered a different way, if this league was covered a fair way, if this league was objective, and you had the right reporters covering the league, the right journalists, not the ones that are always trying to stir the pot, then the voting would be a lot closer than what it's going to be. And I don't think we can deny that. I just don't. I really don't believe we can deny any of that. And because the media doesn't like Caitlin Clark, this is the same media that has the power and will have a vote. Now, do you really believe for 1 minute these ones that cover these games and call these games, that sit up there and don't even mention her name, are going to vote for her? Not happening. It's not. It's just not. Frustrating broadcasting. It's just about stats through the game. Frustrating to watch the game. Stats for everything. Like you said, believe it's a mandate. It's a mandate. They pick and choose who they want to. It is. I honestly believe that. I honestly believe that. Listen, the benefit that I have is when you call games or you call certain leagues, especially overseas, then obviously as a broadcaster, if you don't watch the game overseas, you don't understand the game, right? You don't know how the play is. But I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't. So it doesn't matter if it's Portugal, if it's Malta, if it's Warriors Thailand, which I just signed on again to do their games, you know, the leagues in Asia. I don't have a dog in the fight. What I do, my job for the listening audience, the English-speaking audience, is to highlight the players, highlight the American-born players. Cállate. 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 It's the... Sorry. She gets fired up. I don't know what to tell you. It's to highlight the American-born players because a lot of American-born players go and play overseas. So for the English-speaking audience, the reason I call these games is because obviously they want an English-speaking audience, and I can pinpoint, I can highlight, I can dive into these players, their resumes, their backgrounds, right? And promote them, but the right way. But I don't necessarily have a dog in a fight. Like, I'm not going to highlight one player over the next. I'm just not going to do that. It's different with these networks because you are hired by the networks. And oh, by the way, the league is cutting the check most of the time. So yeah, you're not going to say anything that's going to be detrimental. You're not. Now, the other thing is this. You know, some, like a Rebecca Lobo, will actually call out the refereeing at times. Other broadcasts, they won't do that. Once the media likes you, you're in. Once the media hates you, you're screwed. In this league, notably, I mean, they look at who they love. They love Wilson. She's a veteran. She can get the whistle. They love Reese. She's outspoken. They love Bucket. She's outspoken. She's got a little edge. They love Miles. She's flashy. Some maybe like Cunningham, depending upon where you lay your hat. Others don't. She's too outspoken. And nobody likes Caitlin Clark. Why? Because she's plain Jane and doesn't upset the apple cart. She just plays her game. Once in a while, they'll acknowledge the logo 3, the vision, but they won't really accentuate it. They won't really highlight it. They won't really take a deep dive. I haven't heard one talking head sit there and say on the air why she's right there when it comes to the MVP. Now, it's not their job to do it, but these halftime analyst shows, these pre and post, they totally glide right over her. It's Indiana plays. It's not about Caitlin Clark. It's about Mitchell, which is not a knock on Mitchell. The Aces play Indiana. It's not about Caitlin Clark. It's about Wilson. It's about Mitchell. When they play the Lynx, it's not about Caitlin Clark. It's about the sensational rookie, Miles. So the media needs to take a hit, but they're not going to change because they understand. They're not going to tap dance, and they understand the McNutts of the world, the Chinny, some of these other. They know it's all about the eyeballs. They know it's about the eyeballs. They always know about the eyeballs. And these players are, all these players we're talking about are really damn good friggin' basketball players. This is not an argument of who's better than who. No, man. They're all, these 4 or 5 that we highlight, multiple times during the week on the show or when we watch these games, they're all great. They're all talented. They're all trending. If they continue down this road, you can argue Mitchell, if she keeps going late in her career, blossoming late, Hall of Famer. Clark, young, Hall of Fame path. Miles, sensational rookie, Hall of Fame path, right? Maybe we have the conversation down the road about the Buckets of the world, maybe about the Stewarts of the world, right? But we already know Wilson has kind of, reclaimed that throne, the queen. She is arguably the most decorated player in this league because of her resume and her body of work. It can't be disputed. We can't dismiss it. But the media will only tell you what they want you to hear. They'll only tell you what they believe you need to know. And that is player A, B, C, and D are phenomenal. Oh, by the way, Indiana has this other player. Maybe we'll get to her down the road. And that is a problem. That's why she'll never win an MVP. She can average 25, 10, and 15. She can average 25, 15, and 10. A friggin' triple-double. She can have Player of the Week honors, Player of the Month. She can score 45 3 or 4 times. She can have 3 or 4 triple-doubles in an entire season. They can win 20-something odd games and get the top seed. And you know what? She will still not be the MVP. She won't. She just won't. Can't stand for them. I have I turn down the volume a lot because I watch games multiple times. I do it with the fights. After I call the fight, I'll go back, I'll turn down the volume because I want to see how I scored it in real time. I do the same thing with the basketball games. I'll watch them multiple times. The games I call overseas, I'll watch them multiple times. These games, I do it in the NBA because I want to watch the game without the volume. And then I want to listen to the game with the volume to see how they're calling the game. So, again, a lot of it's skewed. Don't, Michael, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Ryan jumped on CC, is unliked by the staff. Diva bandwagon. I think he burnt the bridge he had with CC. Notice CC hasn't. I mean, I do like when they grab these players for a couple minutes. I think it adds to the broadcast. He's got a rapport with the league. He's well respected in the league. But again, everyone always says, like Joe Buck doesn't like my team. They don't have a dog in the fight. They don't. I still harken back. I hate saying it. I just harken back to her being a rookie. And it's not her fault she's a rookie. She'll get votes, but she's not canceling it out. She's not canceling out Wilson. Mitchell and Clark will kind of cancel each other out with some of the votes. And this is why it's just skewed, period. Get your money, ads equal dollars. Listen, I don't know what to tell you, man. I think the fact that we had to have a grown-up conversation and I had to give some people a timeout last week in the chats, right? BB, I got you. I got you. Hey, listen, I appreciate it. I tend to agree with you. All I can do is make a case for. That's it. That's it. My opinion is if they didn't, CC would blow away every team record. Yeah. Yeah. If she played more minutes and they really constructed this offense, I think it's a little different. Can you? I can't. Clark's fan day. I mean, that's a loaded question. So, I think, my opinion, because the league is so jealous of Caitlin Clark, players don't want her to get hers. They don't. Players do not want her to go off. They don't want Caitlin. They don't want to sit there and get a text from their friend and say she lit you up for 25. So they defend her harder. You saw. I mean, what was it? You know, maybe he was walking out and a fan was smiling and wanted Clark to sign the jersey. Like there's resentment, there's insecurity, there's a ton of jealousy in this league, and it trickles down on the floor. So they guard her up a lot more. Your dog disagrees with you. Kiki, yeah. Kiki's always in the fight. Always. Kiki's always in the fight. Yeah, Kiki's getting a little cranky too because she knows, Daddy's got to feed her in a moment. Yes. We've been saying it, Ash. We've been saying it. Was that delivery from Fresh Rosen now? Tom says, let me know if you need a Kansas City. By the way, when we posted the AFC West, I got trolled and heckled by a Kansas City Chiefs fan. So yeah, James Hasty is probably going to come on once a week. Let me know if you need a Kansas City correspondent for this year's NFL season. Sorry, when I call him. Oh, nice. Oh, wow. Wow, that's nice. Very nice. I think they take a little bit of a step back. I do. Imagine if the NBA tried to push Jordan out because he was too popular. Pfft. Well, wink, wink. Why don't you take a year or two off with the gambling coming out, even though that's the funniest conspiracy theory of all time, is it not? You guys are killing the announcers. Lee wore CC out in the first. Stats are even better than CC's. Come on with that. That's ridiculous. It's a legit point. You know it and I know it. You just don't want to hear it because, we know you're a CC hater. You have the name Sugar in the handle, and you would think you'd be a little more sweeter towards CC. You're not. You're really not. You're just not. I was going to send you a link to Fresh Roasted because I like the handle, J. Hoover Sugar. You got to be a little more sweeter, but you're not. There is a jealousy factor. We all know it. Nobody likes to talk about it. That's all. That's all. Beating some rookie records, not records like CC. She's having a phenomenal season. She's a phenomenal player. I can't believe I lost her almost 80% of them. We've been on the air for 220. And what did we learn today? I'm trying to make a case for and against. Now, tomorrow, before you drop off, we'll see if I can get James on tomorrow, but we're going NFL tomorrow. And then Friday, we'll do a little mixed bag. Saturday, obviously, we'll probably hit more W. This is the stretch run. This is why it's fascinating, right? Actually, Friday, we might, depending upon what transpires tomorrow night, because the Fever play the Wings. And oh, by the way, Indiana's laying 2.5. I would grab them on the road right now. Just let you know. It's not a lock. We don't do locks. I will figure out what the hell went on with the ads. I apologize. Comment, subscribe, click the notifications. Doing better than most important categories, a rookie. She's been phenomenal, and she did it with one of their best players. You have noticed no one is saying all CC does is shoot threes anymore because CC can adapt her game. Oh, Ashley coming with it. Basically tagging Hoover on it. J. Hoover Sugar. I like the handles. I like the handles that you guys have. All right. I will see what the hell is going on with the ads for those that are impatient. Tomorrow, football. We'll talk hoops on Friday. and then a little more football on Saturday. Just to let you know, as I mentioned, we have, yes, I know the Valkyrie and the Link play tonight. I know. You got to break up the monotony. So like I said, Brandon Bell's going to jump on. John Bueller from Fansided. My guy Jovan Alford, Total Sports. He does a ton with the WNBA and player props. Costco, who some of you guys that already tune in know exactly who Nick is. Phenomenal job covering college football. So we get heavy into the conferences as well. And then, as I mentioned, as far as the NFL players, Brandon Jacobs during the week, James Hasty. I got a couple more players, Mike Daniels, defensive tackle that played for Green Bay. So like I said, we are going to get some NFL guys coming in. And like I said, you guys did a hell of a job with the chat today. See, this is what we like. If you notice, I think some might have gotten the message that they were going to get a timeout. That's all. Clap for now. You got it, brother. Appreciate that, man. My pleasure. Always my pleasure. My pleasure. I think that Wilson is dominating. Okay, I think that Wilson, Clark dominating scoring. I watch every Aces game, and I really believe she can dominate more on her scoring instead of record. Wow. She is I think she's a special player. I do. She's a dominant player, man. I mean, and she's been doing it at a extremely high level for a lot of years. And that's why I think the body of work, the track record, and what she's done this season, she's going to win the award. Maria, ¿qué tal? ¿Qué pasó? As we're about to just sign off. CC was drafted with 2 stars. You can't fault a player for where they're drafted, right? That's a goofy argument. Where you're drafted, man. You think if you're a Hall of Famer, you didn't have other great players around you? You can't apologize for that, right? Because Joe Montana had, a Hall of Famer and arguably the greatest wide receiver ever in Jerry Rice, a hell of an offensive line, a hell of a running back, Roger Craig, who just got in the Hall of Fame, a great tight end in Clark, and then Solomon and Clark. And then another unbelievable wide receiver from Dell State and John Taylor. You think because you have great players around you, you're any less of a player? Where you're drafted. It's what you do when you're on the floor. It's what you do when you're on the floor. Nothing wrong with being drafted by a good franchise to help your career. Some players that are high draft picks go where? To horrible franchises, and their careers die. Go look at the NFL. Look what the Jets have done for years, or the Giants with some of these draft picks, or hell, the Cleveland Browns trying to find the right quarterback. And it always fails. Sometimes you land in a great spot, but it does not take anything away. I want to be clear with this. It takes nothing away with what these players are doing. You still have to step out on the floor and perform, whether you're a first-round draft pick, whether you're top 10, whether you go to one of the worst teams, middle of the pack, or a great team. You still got to play the game of basketball. And the players that we talk about are playing at an extremely high level. One of them is a rookie playing at a phenomenal level. The other one is kind of blossoming late in her career. The other one is young in her career, Historic and Clark. And the other one is a player that everyone knows has been dominant for the past decade, who's probably going to win the MVP again. So surroundings are everything. Coaching is everything. I can't fault a player. Like, I can't look at a player and say, well, you know what? I mean, Terry Bradshaw, you look at his numbers in the 70s and his win-loss record. People sit there and say Bradshaw was a shitty quarterback. Look at all the Hall of Famers, offensive and defense. Look, he had Franco Harris and Rocky Blyer and John Stallworth and Lynn Swann. And let's not even get started with the friggin' defense. And he had a Hall of Fame coach. Hey, man, I get it. But Bradshaw made his bones in the postseason. Forget about the stats playing in the 70s. He was a hell of a quarterback. So I'm not going to take anything away from where these players got drafted. And I'm also not going to hurt their cases because of where they got drafted or who they're playing with. You still got to play the game. You have to. You have to play the game no matter what. All right. We put out a lot of NFL content. Check it out on the channel. Hit the notifications. I apologize again for the ads. For those complaining about the ads, I've been on the air for 2 hours and 24 minutes. I haven't taken one friggin' break. I haven't walked Kiki, and I've only taken one sip of my fresh roasted coffee. Oh, by the way, 20% off in the show notes. I'm just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. Kenny with the last one of the day. Clark, Wilson, Miles, Mitchell. Who's number 5? Clark, Wilson, Miles, Mitchell. Clark, Wilson, Miles, Mitchell. Buckets played herself out, did she not? And so did Stewart. Ace has not had 3 straight number 1 draft picks, including Wilson. Yes. It's not where you're drafted, guys. It's not where you're drafted. You can't fault a player for having great teammates, too. You just can't. All right, I'm going to let you guys argue for the rest of the way. I'm dropping an NFL nugget later tonight. And then tomorrow, like I said, we go NFL heavy. And then Friday, we'll get back to the conversation. By the way, if you guys are novice with the sports betting and the gambling, just to let you know, we also, during the season, drop Back Your Play, which is our sports betting pod, college football and NFL picks. It's free. There's no firewall. There's no paywall. As you guys keep arguing back and forth, I'm just letting you know that airs not only on TV 48, it also airs on Channel 82 in Bermuda, also SR 1029 FM The Game, Coastal Sports Digital Network. So we cut that typically on a Wednesday because we want to look at the Thursday game and then, of course, the weekend games. So that's also audio-wise on Amazon, Spotify, and like 10 different platforms. So, again, if you dabble in the sports betting sphere and want to have a little fun, we give you some trends, some projections, some numbers, some stats, win totals, over-unders. Lloyd Vance hosts with me. Also, Professor Shine, who's an unbelievable follow on X. The prop is amazing. Last year, he was right around 62% clip. So, all right, I'll let you guys continue arguing. I want to thank everyone for hanging out for well over 2 hours on the chat. You guys are phenomenal on a Woosah Wednesday. You only got me aggravated once. Fresh roasted coffee. Here we go. We absolutely love that. The entire time I thought I subscribed. Paul, I mean, you were just getting the content for free, brother, and just being a ball breaker. Hit the notifications. Hit the subscribe button. NFL content dropping later tonight. More NFL talk tomorrow. We're going to start dabbing into college football. I'll post some shorts as well. And also give me a follow on X and IG at RichQ TikTok RichQ on the mic. You guys are phenomenal. Excellent stuff. You brought a lot of good opinions and takes to the table today, and I greatly appreciate it. All right, we're back at it mañana. Hit the notification. Subscribe to the channel. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Play nice. Once I get off the air, you guys can keep arguing. Play nice. We'll do it again as always. Appreciate you tuning into a Wednesday edition of On Cue, powered by Play It Again Sports, Fresh Roasted Coffee. As always, I'm Rich Quiñones. Hasta luego, buen día.